Hello, it's Billie Marten. I'm hanging out with Rob on Front Row Live.
You are here in the States because a little band called Snowpatrol took you out on tour, which is incredible. One of my favorite bands. How crazy is that, like, opening up for them?
It's just a bit mental. I found out like a few weeks before at one of my shows in London, and my manager Franda showed me the email, and I didn't even say yes. I just laughed, and then it was like assumed that, and then here we are, and we've done maybe 5,000 miles over America in the past 10 days. It's ridiculous, but it's so sweet of them to ask me, and they're genuinely good humans, which is rare. So.
What did you learn? What did you take away from doing a tour like that? Obviously, like, they're more of an arena band, but they blessed us with a more intimate type of show this time around. But what did you learn from these kind of performances that you kind of went out and did?
I think I learned to sort of be a bit less self-conscious. I think because everything's sort of very orchestrated and handled very well, and you are a slot in the bill and it's not your show, so there's no pressure on you. I think I learnt to just kind of go with the flow a bit more and not analyse everything and like deconstruct every show that we did. I would usually do that, and because things are moving fast and you're in a new city every day, you kind of just forget to think about the negative stuff. You're just there, and you got half an hour, so
that's true.
There's no time to waste, really.
Now, I love your songwriting. And I'm obviously a fan of Gary Lightbody's songwriting as well. Like, did any opportunities come along during this like little bit that you got to spend with him about possible collaborations, like, or even like, is that something that you would like to do?
Well, he asked me on one of those shows to sing with him, which was very nice. So we did Set the Fire to the Third Bar, which is one of my favourite songs.
Nice.
And I felt bad that I was replacing Martha Wainwright, but that was lovely. I don't know if I'm ever in Ireland. Yeah. I guess I'll knock.
You never know. So right now you're promoting your sophomore album, Feeding Seahorses by Hand. So tell me about this record, and it was 2 years between records, from your debut album to this one. So within that time that you were working on this record, like, how many times do you feel like you kind of reconstructed the songs that are on the album?
Not many, actually. We just sort of, they're basically just demos, because I didn't have most of them recorded anyway. They were just kind of working with Ethan, my producer this time around. I just played songs live to him on the sofa, and then the next day we were recording them. So usually I don't reconstruct or redo songs anyway. I find that it's quite a debilitating process, because you just get further and further into something that you feel just isn't quite right. Whereas, we recorded everything in maybe like two takes. Wow. It was very naturally done, but it's a good process.
Now, when you do it like that, the way that you do your albums, like, is it safe to say that if the song doesn't work at the time, you just get rid of the song, or does it ever come back to life later on in life?
I don't know. I hate a lot of my music.
Really?
I think it's just the older it gets, the more worn out it feels. But to other people, obviously, it's brand new. So you have to remember not to forget anything, I think. It's important to bring the old stuff back. But if something doesn't... I don't like writing a song that I can already tell isn't going to work out. And because I'm not in a band or anything, it's easy to scrap. Because it's just you or the lyrics or whatever. True. So yeah.
Now, tell me, how different was it working with Ethan John this time around? Did he challenge you any differently on this record as opposed to the debut album?
Well, I think it was the first time working with a new producer. So I've only worked with two in my life before him. Okay. And they've known me since I started making music. So it's much more of like obviously a long-term relationship. Very kind of friends before co-workers. Whereas, I didn't know Ethan at all, and I went to his house and we had scrambled eggs, and then he said, "Do you want to do a record?" And I went, "Yeah." So that is a strange process, because usually, I see my other producers every couple of weeks, and like we always hang out or we go and see music together, and whereas this is a completely different dynamic because it's a stranger. Well, it wasn't formal or anything. It was still Ethan's a great man, but it was new, definitely. And it was sort of a push and pull relationship, I think. Working with someone new is always a challenge.
Right. Do you feel he pushed you or your vocals in any certain way?
No, he kind of just let me do whatever. Wow. And I did the same. I knew he was a great drummer anyway, so and I wanted this record to be more about drums, and production-wise just much more garagey, and everything's on tape, so that sounds great. But it was a really quick process. We didn't analyze a thing. We just sort of, any sound we made was immediately on there.
Right. Whatever you were vibing basically made it to the record.
Yeah, and it was a lot of, noises and different toys and stuff like that. It was, there's a lot of weird stuff on that album, but it sounds good.
But I love it, especially like a song like Betsy, where there's these interesting undertones that you hear throughout the entire song. Like, I don't know, to me, I keep thinking like trinkets or something that like, did you create these sounds just using random things that were in the studio or at home? Like, or how did you go about making the sounds that you did for that song in particular?
We usually use kind of either our bodies or like household items, like light fittings. A good trick is to just get a small box of screws and nails or rings or anything kind of metallic. That works really well. Because I like having something big and swampy, like a bass line, but then something that goes in your ears in the top space. Right. So when you're listening in headphones, it sounds like you're really close and you're in there. Right. So I always try and put trinkets on songs. It's just a fun way to record, I think. Yeah. You hear sounds so differently. As soon as there's a mic on it, it's like it's another instrument.
Right,
so.
Right. Now you have a longtime collaborator on this as well, Rich. And what is it about him that the first time you guys worked together, what is it about him that made you want to continue to work with him on more music?
He's just a great producer. He's just so good at recording. He's a drummer as well, which means that musically we fit together. Right. So when we did Betsy, that was the first time I'd written with him. Okay. And we were just sort of messing around. He started doing that drum beat, that ba 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 ba, and I was like, this is cool. I'm gonna play electric, not acoustic. And then we sort of built the guitar parts up on each other. So there's a line that runs through the whole song, which is just the two notes, right. And then added chords for the chorus. But I'd never written like that ever, and it was. I think it marked like a new period of music, I guess. But yeah, Rich has been there since day one. I think we met when I was 15 or something like that.
So he's seen you kind of like evolve as you're creating these new songs.
Definitely. So I think I felt, it was really hard to say I'm going to go and work with Ethan now, but everyone understands. You have to meet new people in your lifetime, I think. Right. But Mice and Betsy, they're just demos that me and Rich recorded, so they're on there.
Nice, nice. Now, one thing that I find interesting is like I love that, your sound is like so like soft and like calm, like, and I feel like it's so hard to keep that tone when you're singing so softly. How do you go about as far as doing that? Is that like a lot like practice that you've had before, or is that something that just happens naturally for you?
I guess so. I'd never learned how to sing or anything, so I don't know how it works. I know not to shout too much before I go on, and then that's that. But I guess I've never been a loud sort of extroverted person, so the way you sing comes across like that as well. Right. I could never like belt it out. My voice just doesn't do that. Sound guys hate me because they always say, "Can you sing a bit louder?" I'm like, no. This is what you get. That's it. It's this one level of noise. But yeah, I guess it's natural.
So when creating this album, what do you feel was the biggest challenge in making it? Was there a particular song that challenged you at all, or was it a way of recording a particular song, or was it a new instrument that you brought in?
I guess one of my worries was that it was interesting enough, I think, because the first time round you haven't done anything before, so you have freedom and room to do whatever. Right. This time you're always comparing it to something you've just done, even though it was 3 years ago, but still. So I think that challenge of not sort of judging it too much, just letting it be its own thing. Right. But recording-wise, simple. I don't think we had a problem on any song, which was good. Maybe Boxes a little bit, because that was the most developed one in terms of how much stuff we put on that song. So it's layers and layers of guitars and drums and synth and, you know, something that we wouldn't usually do. Right. But it's still based on just one live take of me and guitar. I think that one just sort of developed the most.
What was it about Boxes that you wanted to try that?
I guess it's 4 to the floor, so you just got to make it really loud. It works. I think the song just sort of deserved to be a bit bigger and a bit louder, and every time I played it, it was kind of, there was another force there. So it didn't need space, it needed to be full, right. I guess.
Now, I noticed that on this record you talk more about social stuff, more about other people as opposed to yourself. In doing that, especially when you hit political topics, do you have to do some research before you actually start writing? Or you just, you know, things just flew out for you?
Make sure I know who's in Parliament.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, I guess it was accidental. I didn't wake up and go, I'm going to be more political today. Mm-hmm. I guess just as you continue living, things are sort of infiltrated in your brain. So on the day I wrote Betsy or Cartoon People, that was what was going on. So it's a lot more current, I think. I think I tried not to be so reflective and kind of not to dwell on the past. It was more, yeah, current.
Do you feel like being vulnerable on your music? Do you feel like that's something that's difficult for you to do?
Always.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you're not honest, then you're not singing right. So I think I started playing music because I wanted to. There was something there. There was a problem there I needed to describe. Uh-huh. So naturally, I guess it's not the most poppy or catchy or whatever, but it's always catharsis to write.
Right. And now that you've experienced 2 records, you've experienced some touring as well. Do you feel like you've finally figured out the sound that you want to do, or is that something that you're still trying to figure out as you know new music is coming?
I guess yeah, you change all the time. I don't think I'll do a Bowie and be, you know, different people every time around, but I also don't think it will stay the same, but who knows? I mean, at the moment, I'm just thinking about the third one, and how different it is already is something, but I think it's just important not to try and be anything. Right. Just let it naturally flow. So.
Now you just wrapped up this U.S. run. Well, what are the plans for you now? Are you going back home, or are you going to be out here in the States for a little bit? We've got
a few days in LA, which is nice, but the weather is so bad. It's so bad. And then we go home for UK tour. Okay. Just a little one, but it's nice.
Okay. So for those that are not familiar with you, what is it about this album, or what is it about? Better question. For those that are not familiar with you, what is it about music that keeps you going? Why do you keep creating music?
I don't want to do anything else, and I can't do anything else. And without music, I don't know how people are people. Do you know what I mean? Okay. I don't know what they've done all their lives, or how they have not been influenced by it or felt something by it. And I don't like a song if I don't feel anything. Right. So